Hi everybody. So today I'm coming back to review the Doctor Who episodes from the Russell T Davies era that I've listed from 31 to 21. It's a bit of an odd list, so because then it will be 20 to 11 and then 10 to 1. So so this is this from 31 to 21. These are actually episodes I like, so from this point onwards, from half the list last time, they were obviously some of them were episodes I liked as well. These are my opinions. Just to reiterate, there will be spoilers for those who haven't seen it, and yeah, please do not be offended. My opinion does not mean you can't have your own opinion. It's not a fact. It's just my personal preference. Okay, let's get right. Number 31 is an episode I don't like as much as I did when I first saw it. Mainly because I just love Rose and I love 10, and I think I didn't realise it's probably not a very good episode, and that is New Earth. I still like New Earth. It's funny, it's hilarious, but at the time I was like, yes, this is one of my favourite episodes ever. And yeah, it's not really a very good episode. I mean, there's the face of Bo in it, yeah, sure, but I mean, the episode's a bit ridiculous. But I love Cassandra in it and everything. So yeah, and I bet you that David and Billy had so much fun filming it. I remembered watching the behind the scenes, how much water they had to just go through for it. So yeah, it was great. Number 30. Now this was an episode at the time I thought was like, really, this episode? But actually, I really like it actually, and that is Partners in Crime. Introduces Donna, and it is silly. It's a silly episode, but I like it. And then it introduces the whole thing, with the adipose, they're saying, their planet has gone, and that's something that's really becomes a very important plot point later on. With the whole all the planets are disappearing and all that. So yeah, number 29. Now this is an episode that, at the time, I thought was crap. To be honest, I did think it was a little bit crap. But actually, it's become, I think, maybe second or third to, my other favourite Christmas special, Christmas Invasion, on the list. And this is The Runaway Bride. And yes, I know it is rated, higher than the Christmas Invasion. But I think just because, I don't know, I think it was a bit more interesting with things going on, and also 10 had more of an appearance throughout. And Arachnos, if that's what it's called, I think is actually quite a scary monster. Like, the makeup is pretty good, and then it meant, when you first watch it, you don't realise they're saying by orders of Howard Saxon, and that's another important plot point in season 3. So I think it's just really amazing how Russell T Davies does it. So yeah, I love that one. Number 28 is an episode I didn't really like at the time that much either. There's a lot of these have approved of a rewatch a few years later down the line, and that is the Lazarus Experiment. The CGI is something to be desired, but I love the church scene. I think Martha is a badass, and I wasn't a massive fan of Martha, but in this I find her, amazing. And it's really interesting because then you see her family in the way, and it brings in the whole, at the end, the ending was great. The whole episode throughout was really good actually, and I really like it. Number 27, this is an episode where, maybe not as good the first time I watched it, but it's still really good, and that is Rose. That's the first episode ever that introduced me to New Who. I love it so much. Although now I'm knowing that they basically copied a storyline from the Third Doctor when he had to face the Autons, and it was a lot better, for classic Who usually is. So it's not as good as, after seeing it the first time, it was amazing. And obviously the special effects lead something to be desired, but it was 2005, so, But I love how kick-ass Rose is in it, and I know we all like to dismiss how badly Rose treats Mickey, but, yeah, I find it very, it's a great opener, I think. And I think it is really one of the strongest openers for introducing a new companion. Number 26, some people will be wondering why I rated this so highly, because some people are like, really? Is that highly rated for you? And that is The Idiot's Lantern. I love The Idiot's Lantern, honestly. I love, when a doctor has his feminist moment and isn't being, a sexist pig as he is in some later ones. Open to debate, as it is. But I do like it a lot. And it's interesting seeing how the Doctor's coping without Rose. And I honestly was terrified of The Wire. I know everyone's like, oh, the hungry is a bit weird, but I was genuinely terrified. So, yeah. Number 25. The thing is, it's not like a super scary episode, but there's just something like really nostalgic about it and something I really love. And that is Boomtown. I really love the episode. I love the dynamic between Jack and Mickey and Rose and the Doctor, and I can't believe I've forgotten that's Levine's name, but it's something, she was the mayor. So, I mean, it is something I really like. It's an episode I really treasure, and it's hilarious, and there's just something with, and I know it links in later on to the season 1 finale, and it mentions the whole bad wolf again, but I just really like it. So, yeah. Number 24. Now, this is an episode I do like. I didn't like as much the first time. I like it more later on, and it introduces my favourite companion, which is Sarah Jane Smith, so that is School Reunion. I love School Reunion, it's great, and it brings in the argument, although Rose was a bit like, the whole Rose and Sarah Jane argument was a bit, really, but it was kind of funny, and they made up at the end, and I don't really like how Rose treats Mickey at the end. It's just like, oh, why are you joining us? I'm like, what? Mickey's fantastic. Like, at the time, I was like the same, but I mean... just mainly because Rose is my first and favourite companion, and but yeah, I think she deserves to treat Mickey better, to be honest. And I really, really do like that episode. Yeah, and it brings in the whole thing about the Doctor abandoning his companions, and also Anthony Head is in it, and this was back when I used to watch Merlin, so literally all I could think of was like, oh my god, the guy from Merlin. So yeah, I do really like this episode. Number 23 is an episode some people may not see why I've rated this so highly, but honestly there's a lot of nostalgia of it, and I love this episode, and I think it's an important plot point later on for season 1, and that is The Long Game. I love this episode. I mean, at the time obviously I didn't realise that was Simon Pegg, but yeah, it's fantastic. I know like the villain, the editor thing is, it's not scary really. But I think just the whole thing, and then later on, like when I've rewatched it, I've realised the importance of them talking about, making sure like immigrants, aren't coming, and it's that whole thing, and it's like very relevant to now, and yeah, and I just love it, and I love the characters in it. Adam is interesting, and obviously Tamsin Greig is in it. I love Tamsin Greig. She's fantastic. So yeah. I love this episode. Number 22. Now, some people, I was really surprised to find out, really hate this episode. I think it's terrible. And for me, I don't understand why, because it is one of my favourite episodes ever. So for me, this is actually rated quite low on the list. And that's at number 22, and that's Fear Her. I love Fear Her. I think it's really scary. Honestly, for me, it is really scary because there's a child, but I know it's like the alien entities and that's scary and all that. But she's trapped in a child, and she's like doing all these drawings, and it's crazy. And I love Ten and Rose dynamics, how Rose is trying to deal with it. And I think it was really relevant because at the time it was before the Olympics. And there was this whole petition for, like David Tennant to actually hold the Olympic flame back when the Olympics was in London. And I love it, the bit when the dads go in the wardrobe and then the door slams, and it genuinely terrifies me. And I love this episode so much. I think it's such a good episode, and I think people dismiss it, and I really love it. Last one on my list for today. It's an episode that's one of my favourites and has improved upon rewatches, and that is Fires of Pompeii. Obviously it has got Peter Capaldi in it, who later became 12. I love this episode. I think at the time I didn't like how Donna said to Ten, just save someone, because in my realistic mind I was like, yeah, but no one actually survives Pompeii, why are you doing this? You're messing with history. But I can see why now. Like later on, with rewatches, I saw why. Like how horrible it is just to leave somewhere where they all die, and you just can't live your life like that. And that whole Ten and Donna kind of doing something together, and also Karen Gillan, who I didn't realise was in it at the time because I didn't know who she was at the time, and one of my favourite actresses, and she's in it. it's so interesting seeing those callbacks later on, two actors that do appear in Doctor Who later on. And I think that this is a very, very good episode of season 4. I find season 4 as a season kind of weak overall, but that episode for me is a really well written one, and the whole thing with Rose and the whole there's something on your back, and I think the storyline throughout season 4, the whole, which I feel like misses from Moffat ones later on, with the whole there is like a storyline going on. You can see there is an arc that is being followed and it's continued throughout the episodes. So yeah. Okay, so that is it from my list from 31 to 21. Some of you will be disagreeing. I'm saying I've rated some episodes higher than others. I am sorry if I've offended anybody. These are just my opinions and preferences. So the next list will be 20 to 11. So yes. So some of you may be already predicting what is on that list. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Because I do love reviewing my favourite episodes. And if you have any requests for anything, requests for reactions or for challenges or for just reviews like this one, please let me know in the comments below, and be sure to like and subscribe.